I invite you now to gently close your eyes and find a comfortable position. As we breathe into this now moment, I invite you to relax, feeling the relaxed feeling moving down from the top of your head, falling across your face and down your neck to your shoulders. Letting all the tensions of today or yesterday fall away, and repeat silently to yourself after me, if you wish. I am relaxed. I am at peace. Feel that relaxed feeling move all the way down your arms, from your shoulders to your elbows, into your wrists and hands, feeling all the tension just washing away. We relax our chest, our abdomens, and our backs. And we gently breathe in, affirming, I am relaxed. And we feel that warm, relaxed feeling moving all the way down into our hips, our thighs, our knees, our ankles, all the way out our tips of our toes. And I invite you to repeat silently to yourself after me. I am relaxed. I am at peace. Now I invite you to bring your attention to your breath, feeling that slow, steady rhythm, breathing in, breathing out. I invite you to take a deep breath and breathe in life, and breathe out the love and life. Breathe in life. Exhale joy. Inhale life. Exhale zeal and enthusiasm. I invite you to bring your attention to that secret place of the Most High within you. The Christ presence that dwells within each of us. The light that shines within us all. See it shining brightly from that heart space, engulfing your entire body, so that you see your whole body, every cell of your body, glowing with the light of Christ, the light of love, the light of wisdom. I invite you to become 100% present to this now moment, to feel yourself inside of your skin, to know that nothing else in the world exists except for this now moment, where we are experiencing the presence of God. I invite you to rest peacefully and joyfully into that knowing for a minute or two. As we bring our awareness back into this room, we do so in joyous gratitude. Knowing that the thought of thank you is the greatest thought there is. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, silence. And so it is. Amen. There are two things I like about this song. One is it's a story. I love stories. I heard a friend of mine tell me it was a sad story. But one of the reasons that I chose this story is because of its emphasis on we're going to have a good time then. Then we'll have a good time. People have always conveyed meaning through stories. All our ancient ancestors, all the way down, if they wanted to tell you about something, they told you a story about it. That's the way it's always been. So today, I want to tell you a story. The story is about me. When I was a little girl, it's also, hopefully, going to be a story of magic and miracles. When I was a little girl, I was a happy child. I remember loving to tumble, the things that would bring me joy, tumbling, just a little rollover, you know, where you put your head down and you roll over. Whoa, I thought that was so fun. And doing that just brought me so much joy. And I remember enjoying to ride my bike. I rode my bike every day, weather permitting, for many years. I also remember going down the street and playing kickball with my sisters, with the neighbors, playing kickball, and how much joy that would bring me. I remember my mother telling me what a happy child I was. Well, as I got a little bit older, oh yeah, it was those teenage years. When I hit adolescence, I forgot where my joy went. And I began to look outside of myself to other things for my joy. First it was boys. Yeah, if I just had a boyfriend, I would be happy. It would bring me joy to have a boyfriend. And that never worked. Yeah, so I thought, okay, if I got better at my tumbling, let's turn tumbling into gymnastics. And what if I learned to do a cartwheel or a back handspring or those kinds of things? And I did learn a few of those tricks. And it brought me a lot of joy to do those. But it wasn't a lasting joy. It was always when I could learn to do the next thing. Oops, where are my glasses? I remember from there that I wanted to be a cheerleader. And so I went out for the cheerleading squad at high school. And I made the squad. I was so happy. And then the work came. The squad before mine in high school had won the national championship of cheerleaders. Oh, yeah. And so there was a lot of pressure on us to be the best. And I got to where I hated it. The cheerleading didn't bring me joy anymore. And I began to think, what could bring me joy? And I kept looking out there other places. And then as I became an adult, it was my career. I decided to go to haircutting school. I thought that would bring me joy. If I could just do something and have a skill, I would be joyful. So I went to hair school. I got my license and I got my first job at my first hair salon. And I sat there doing nothing most of the day because I didn't have a customer base list. And so I always thought, okay, well, I need a new job to be joyful and happy. And so it was the next job and the next one and the next one. And then I finally found a job that I liked pretty good. And it was a chain salon kind of job. And I thought, oh, I like this job. Well, after a year or so, I began to get a little bit restless in that job. And I thought, you know, I would be joyful if I could manage this shop. Yeah, that would make me joyful if I were manager. So I got promoted to manager. It wasn't 6 months later. I thought I needed more than that. It was the next step. Okay, what if I became general manager over all of these salons? That would bring me joy. So I became general manager. Then it was, what if I became an educator? And, I can teach all these hairstylists the right way to do it. Right. Oh, yeah, that would bring me joy if I could teach people how to do it. And so I became an educator. And that wasn't enough. It was never enough, no matter what it was. I always thought that joy was out there somewhere. It wasn't long after that I found Unity. I was about 29 years old when I entered my first Unity church, and yes, I was looking for joy. But one of the first things I learned when I went in there was Unity's third basic principle, that we create our life through our way of thinking. We create our life through our way of thinking, and I thought, wow, that sounds really good. I got to prove it. I can't just believe this. I have to prove it. But the problem was, I still thought that joy was out there somewhere. It was in the next whatever. So along the line of me trying to prove Unity's third basic principle of creating my joy, I decided that I needed a red convertible, a new car. I had it all in my mind, how it would feel, showing it off to my friends, the cool breeze blowing through my hair, all of that. And I got the red convertible, and it brought me a lot of joy until the car payments started coming in. Oh, yeah. And they became a struggle for me, and I lost the joy. I lost the joy with the car, and I kept searching out there somewhere. Where is the joy? Not long after I entered the Unity Church is when I started finding my social activism work that many of you know is my call to ministry and my love. My first thing was to be a telephone counselor for the crisis center. Now, I'll tell you one way to find some joy is to listen to other people's crap. Because my stuff ain't that bad anymore, you know? Okay? And I fell in love with helping other people. And so I began to think, how more can I help other people? And I've tried my hand at a lot of different social activism venues, feeding the hungry. I opened a free hair salon for the homeless to help them find employment. And many of you know of the children's Christmas party that I help throw every year, in which we make Christmas happen for 600 local children that fall through the cracks of the system. And all of that brings me joy. But it was that Christmas party, it was that particular type of social activism that made me realize that I was still looking for joy in all the wrong places. Because after the Christmas party was over, even though I was very happy, and it was always about a week to 10 days before Christmas, I was exhausted. Christmas was over. I had no more energy left. I've heard new things called the Christmas morning syndrome. Okay? You're happy when you first get it, then you kind of lose the happiness after a while, and always searching for that new thing. And that's what I still do the Christmas party every year, but that's taught me that's why I wasn't finding the joy out there somewhere. Bet y'all didn't come here to hear me tell y'all how I didn't find joy, did you? Y'all really want to know how I did find joy. So that's where I'm going to take you next into my story. As many of you know, last year, while I was home on spring break, a funny thing happened. Not funny, haha. No, funny out of the ordinary. My husband was in a serious car accident. And as I was standing there in the emergency room, he was laying there. He had been examined by the doctor. And he began to tell me what was wrong with him. I had actually taken a pair of clothes up to the hospital with me, thinking I would take him home that night. And as he began to list off this list of injuries that he had, it occurred to me that he wasn't going home with me, that he wasn't getting in the car with me. My nightmare began, and my head began to spin, and I thought, what am I going to do? Why did I think, what am I going to do? Because my husband spoiled me rotten. I'm going to tell you. He did everything for me. He ran his own company, which helped me to get my education at school. When I'm at home, he does all the cooking. He does all the shopping for all the ingredients for the cooking. He took care of all of our personal finances. I didn't even have to think about that car payment. So Ken spoiled me, and all of a sudden, I had to take over. And it scared me, and I didn't know how. I didn't know what to do. So I began to affirm to myself, the Christ in me knows what to do. Pretty powerful stuff, isn't it? The Christ in me knows what to do. Will y'all affirm that with me? The Christ in me knows what to do. Yeah. So, empowered with my affirmation, the next day, less than 24 hours later, the Christ in me had not told me what to do. And I was getting a little impatient. So I was at the hospital in the ICU, and I walked out. I asked the nurse, I said, isn't there a chapel that I can go to? And she's told me how to get there, and I walked into this Catholic chapel. It was about the third the size of this room, and it was decorated in Catholic idolatry, you know, with the Jesus on the wall and all. And I sat there. I walked in, and I walked up to the next to the front pew, and I sat down. And I was tired at that point. It had been less than 24 hours, but I knew that the Christ in me was supposed to tell me what to do, but I hadn't heard an answer yet. And I was getting pretty frustrated. And so I said outside of me, to the God outside of me, the God of my childhood, of my embedded theology, God, tell me what to do. Now, at that very moment, I noticed a Bible in the pew in front of me. Now, I don't know about many of you, but when I have a question, it's not usually the Bible that I go to for an answer. Yeah. I pray, I affirm, I do all of those things. But I picked up the Bible, and I randomly opened it. And I want to share what I read to you that day. It comes to us from the book of Ezekiel, the Old Testament. The 47th chapter, the first few verses, it reads like this. The man brought me back to the entrance to the temple, and I saw water coming out from under the threshold of the temple toward the east, for the temple faced east. The water was coming down from under the south side of the temple, south of the altar. He then brought me out through the north gate and led me around the outside to the outer gate facing east. And the water was trickling from the south side. I continued to read. I'll just paraphrase the rest of it for you. The trickling water became a stream, and then it became a river. And at the bottom of the river, all this prosperity, the trees were growing, life was happening. All this prosperity was going on. And I knew right then and there that I had to keep the water running at my husband's company. The water was trickling. The Christ in me told me what to do. Well, do you think that made me happy? No. And the first thing I said was, no, not that, anything but that. And I was so confused, but I knew that that's what I was going to have to do. The very next day, on Friday, 2 days after the wreck, my friend Gwen from school here, she was a student that graduated last year. If some of you don't know her, she said, I'm going to come through on my way back to school, and I'm going to help you know what to do. I'm going to help you make a list of what to do. And so on Friday, I went home to clean up my house before Gwen got there. I left the hospital early, and I've got a clean house. And I got home, and I was so tired, and I was still in such turmoil over my new life that all of a sudden had started, because I knew that I wasn't coming back to school like my friend Gwen was. I was going to go to work for Texas Sweetwater. And I was really overwhelmed by all this. And about my dirty house, the reason I had to clean it is because my husband had been living there as a bachelor for 2 years while I'd been up here in school. Okay, imagine this. Yeah. So I had to clean the house, and I got home, and I thought, oh my God, before I start cleaning the house, I need to look at Facebook. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I love my Facebook. And the reason I love it is because most of my Facebook friends are either members of a Unity church, Unity ministerial students, Unity ministers, or they work at a Unity church, or somehow tied to Unity, or I've liked all these different Unity churches across the United States so I can look at my Facebook page and be inspired. It's an inspiration to me. And so I sat down and opened my Facebook page. I looked at it. And right there on the top were some pictures that my friend from my local Unity church had posted. She was at a show, a concert show, just about a mile from my house, about these old guys acting silly, singing 50s and 60s music. And I said, oh, that looks like fun. Typed it out, posted it. Pretty quick, she came back at me and she said, come on down. I'll get you in the back door. And I thought to myself, no, wait a minute. Did I tell her what was going on? Yeah. Now, she knows what's going on. She knows my life is ruined. She knows, how can I possibly go to a concert and have a good time? That crazy woman. I very nicely began to type out, I can't make it tonight. But before I could hit post, the Christ in me finally spoke to me. It said, go. Go to the concert. So, here I went, oh, okay. It was just a mile away, as I said. And I got there, and true to her word, my friend BJ was at the back door. Oh, and there was a parking place right there, too. And I pulled in, and there she was, and we went in the back door, and the band was on break. And I came in, and there were about 10 or 12 women from my local church there. And the band started playing again, the 50s and 60s music that I love, that old-time rock and roll stuff. And what we did is we laughed. We sang. We danced. And a light bulb came on in my head that joy is wherever I want it to be. No matter what job I have, no matter where my husband is in ICU at the time, no matter what's going on, joy is wherever I decide it is. Powerful stuff. So, the story gets better. As I began to run my husband's water company, all kinds of different people came to help me. I didn't really know what I was doing. I did know how to produce the water, okay? I knew that from helping my husband through the years, but that's about all I knew. I didn't know how to deliver it. I didn't know where it went. I didn't know how to do the bookwork. I didn't know where the customers were. I didn't know anything else. And all these people started coming into my life to help me get through this ordeal that I was going through. And what I noticed about them, that each and every one of them, a lot of them, were going through a lot of turmoil in their own lives. My friend Carolyn was a recent widow that had just found out she had cancer. How can I help you? She had all this joy and love in her heart for me. And thinking back on it, I'm like, okay, she's me, reaching out to get in my crap so that she didn't have to think about her own. But she was so full of love and joy. I'm like, how is she doing this with all this stuff going on? And then David was trying to start his new business, and he was just stumbling and didn't know what he was doing. Same as me. He had a business that he didn't know anything about that he was trying to get going and was faltering. But he showed up and so full of love and joy. And this just kept seeing this time and time again. And it kept reminding me that joy is wherever I decide it is. So then the hard work came down. I really actually had to deliver those 5-gallon jugs of water to Ken's customers. And I had to do it out of my PT Cruiser convertible because the work van was the one in the wreck. So some days I would forget about that light. And I would think to myself, this is a miserable existence. How am I going to get through this? Will this ever end? Is this the rest of my life? Will Ken heal? Will I ever get past this? Or is this my lot in life? Then I would remember the concert. And I would notice the pretty flowers on the side of the road. Oh, those are pretty. I'd put the top down on that PT Cruiser convertible. Oh, that feels good. Driving down the road. The more I concentrated on those little things, the more I noticed them. The more and more there were for me to notice. What a beautiful dress you're wearing. Isn't that a lovely necklace? Oh, well, you're being so kind to me today. All the kind little things, everything that could bring me joy became apparent like a magnifier to show me that joy was wherever I wanted it to be. I began to learn to stop worrying and be happy. So that's part of the story, a major part. But we're going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to keep telling the story, but we're going to answer the next question in the next part of the story, and that was, when did you stop singing? Okay? So as spring turned to summer, I realized, oh, did I mention it was a water business? Spring was turning to summer, the busiest time of the year, and I knew I could no longer do it out of my PT Cruiser convertible. So I went and traded my nice little car in on a work van. And a funny thing happened. My passenger seat became empty. I didn't have water bottles in it anymore. And I didn't mention earlier my best female friend, which was going through some of her own trials. I had this empty seat, so I called my friend Jax up. I said, come ride with me. We'll visit while we take the water out. Some of the areas that we went were quite a distance, a long drive, like an hour and a half one way, and plenty of time to visit and chit-chat like women do. And so she got it, oh, I'd love to, she said, and she got in the car with me. And that first day, after we told each other all of our woes, I began to remember this tune that I had made up from an affirmation that I had done earlier. Actually, it was an affirmation that I got here at school from my prayer partner a couple of years ago. And the affirmation was, it's all good, everything's a blessing. And I began to sing this to her, that no matter what was going on, it's all good, everything's a blessing. It's all good, everything's a blessing. But that's all I had to say. So she put an ending on it. And she goes, and thank you for many more. And we began to sing this song. We just kept singing it between stops. And the next time that she rode with me, we made up another song. And so the summer began. And we delivered hundreds of bottles of those 5-gallon bottles of water. We did it. We got through the busy season, and we did it by singing songs. And now they weren't all upbeat and happy unity songs. Some of them were Texas Sweetwater jingles that we made because she and I were the water women. Oh, yes, we were. So the wise medicine woman asked me, when did I stop singing? Well, that's how singing played into me finding joy. Today we have a special guest, Rachel, that is a recent graduate, wants to share with us a little bit about how she ... So
a couple years ago, my dad had entered hospice. And it was October, and it was the October that was right before the presidential election. If you remember the last presidential election, by October, people were getting pretty yucky. Some people, the ads were getting yucky. There just was that feeling in the air of tension and people not being very nice to each other sometimes. So I had that going on. My dad was in hospice. And my sister and I had already traveled and seen him for what we knew was the last time. And I'm just trying to like make it through school because I am this close to done. So just survival. And then at the end of October or at the beginning of November, I went. I was also working for the region, so I went to a YOU event, and we were up in the high mountains in Colorado, which meant nobody's cell phone worked, which meant that we were isolated for 4 days, right? So this was awesome. So I'm in the mountains for 4 days with a bunch of Unity kids and sponsors, and of course, it's in the Colorado mountains, so it's gorgeous. And one of my jobs helping lead the Unitine event was the song leader. And, right? And I had a realization while I was up there in the mountains, away from all of this stuff that was going on in the real world. I'm not sure about that. As being the song leader, I realized two really important things. First of all, I had let myself get totally sucked into that negative energy, because even the usually pretty high consciousness, we're going to float above this people around me, some of them had gotten sucked into that, and I was not strong enough to hold myself there on my own, I thought. I'd forgotten. And two, I'd forgotten to sing, because I always sing. I've always got a little hum, a little ditty. You say something and it'll trigger me and I'll be singing a song. That's just how I am. Most of you probably already know that about me. So I realized those two really important things. And even though it was still, from that point, it was still over a month before my dad even passed, that was the hardest point in my process of his passing, was because I didn't remember to sing. And then once I started singing again, it's like, oh, I'm not singing. Okay, let's sing. And I also, of course, blocked out some of that other stuff that was going on in the world. But, I just started singing again, and it changed everything for me. And it's such a great reminder that if I'm not singing, that I need to pay attention. And so we're going to invite you all to sing. And I know how much you all like to watch Terry sign. So we're going to teach you the important words in the song so you can sign along. Okay, so this is I Choose Joy by Terry Wilder. Some of you may know it. And so the most important words, first of all, you all can figure that one out, right? Point to yourself. Choose, so you choose. See, you're picking from your fingers. Choose, right? That's easy. And then joy, like this. Very good, very good. So, that's your part. You ready? When the walls come tumbling down, I choose joy. I choose joy. When the world stops spinning round, I choose joy. I choose joy. When my heart won't seem to move, when my music's lost the groove, when I have too much to prove, I choose joy. I choose joy. When hate is all I see, I choose joy. I choose joy. When fear won't let me be, I choose joy. I choose joy. When betrayal and lies hide the light from my eyes, I look up to the skies and I choose joy. I choose joy. Joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. Joy, 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 joy. I choose joy. In this moment right here, I choose joy. I choose joy. For the ones that I hold dear, ground. Peace and hope bound. I hear a sweeter sound. The chains have come unbound. Love is all around when I choose joy. In this moment right here, I choose joy. I choose joy. For the ones that I hold dear, I choose joy. I choose joy. To be who I must be, for the light that shines in me, for everybody to be free. I choose joy. I choose joy. And everybody will be free when I choose joy. I choose joy. Yo!
Thank you, Rachel and Chris. I'd never heard that song before Rachel suggested it. And then the very next Sunday, I heard it in church. Yes, I did. Thank you. Y'all did a great job with that. I choose joy right here, right now. So we've found the sweet territory of silence. Did I enchant you with a story? Maybe. I taught you how to find joy through singing. So what was the other question? When did you stop dancing? Well, y'all ready to dance? I thought about this quite a bit, and I planned and I did all kinds of things, and I just couldn't figure it out. And I thought to myself, what really brings me joy? The wise woman may not know all the answers. Laughing brings me joy. I thought to myself, oh, laughing. I remember earlier in my hairstyling career when I was being trained to be a hairstylist, to be a successful hairstylist, they told me to be happy, to act happy. You know, once you act happy, that you will be happy. And it works, it really does. And so, instead of asking y'all to dance, I'm going to ask for y'all to join with me in a little bit of laughter yoga. To get our, did you know, I've got a list here of how things are good for you. Laughing yoga is good for you. Get my glasses out. These are the health benefits. For 45 minutes after you laugh, you continue to feel good from it, at least for 45 minutes. It has good cardiovascular benefits. It gets your hearts pumping, so that's good for you. It reduces your blood pressure. Yes, it does. It speeds healing. Okay, so Unity was based on a healing ministry. And I've even heard stories of people laughing their illnesses away. And it fosters a positive attitude. According to the website that I got this information from, children, did I tell you I was a happy child? Children laugh 300 to 400 times a day, according to that website. 300 to 400 times. And it said that as adults, we don't do that quite so much. So a few years ago, I went to Nian's birthday party, and she's the one that turned me on to laughing yoga, and so I want to ask y'all to join with me in a couple of these exercises. So if you'll put your hands together next to your chest here. Now think about your stomach when you say this, and we're just going to laugh, ho, ho, just 2 times. Ho, ho.
Ho, ho.
From your stomach. Let's do that several times. Ho,
Ho,
ho.
ho.
Ho,
Ho,
ho. Ho,
Ho,
ho.
ho.
Okay, very good. So now, from the same position, take your attention off your stomach and put it onto your chest. And now laugh. Ha ha. So,
Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha.
Feel good? Now let's put them together. Ho ho.
Ho ho ha ha. Ho ho ha ha. Ho ho ha ha. Ho ho ha ha. Ho ho ha ha.
Okay, y'all are making me laugh. Okay. So here's another one. When things just seem to be out of control and you don't know if you're going to be able to get back to your life, or if your life as you know it may have been changed forever or whatever, and you just want to grab your head, grab it. I can tell y'all are feeling better already. Okay. So here's one of my favorite, because I'm a football fan. And if you've ever been to a football game or a lot of sporting events, I think they do the wave. Well, this is a laughing wave. So you start with your hands facing down like this, and we're going to bring them up. And as we go up, we're going to laugh kind of like a siren. Okay, one more, at least one more. Find someone close by and laugh at them. Doesn't that feel good? Does, doesn't it? Kind of takes us out of anything that's going on in the world. So, remember, as you go through life, to find the territory of silence. Listen to stories. Don't forget to sing. And to heck with dance and laugh.